Shu Xiaobai watched the anime, eating hanbao and drinking happy water. As a general researcher of a scientific and technological pharmaceutical research institute, Shu Xiaobai is not very enthusiastic about work. The most enjoyable part of every day is living at home after get off work. Suddenly, Shu Xiaobai felt a pain in his heart. Hardly stood up from the computer chair. He knew what was going on with him. This was an ancestral myocardial infarction. He wanted to get medicine, but the angina caused him to fall back into the chair again. I feel like I can't get the medicine. However, even if it were to die, then, the hard disk must be formatted. Even the end of the world can't stop him. Formatting. Shu Xiaobai suddenly woke up and sat up, panting heavily. That kid isn't dead. Maid, pretending to be dead at some point, almost sent him to the corpse car. Shu Xiaobai listened to the noisy shouts in his ears, watched the chaotic scene, and the surrounding friends lying around. Well, the lying corpse. A burly man pulled Shu Xiaobai up. Are you dead? If you don't die, you will get up to work. Do you want any more money? Where am I? This kid has a brain injury. The big man frowned slightly when he saw the injury on Shu Xiaobai's forehead, and pointed to the city wall not far away. Go and hide there. Immediately, the big man ignored Shu Xiaobai, turned around and went to move the bricks. To be precise, it is to carry a blue crystal. Shu Xiaobai has not recovered until now. He found himself in the same uniform as those who carried the blue crystals. Passed through? The owner of your body is a porter? Shu Xiaobai hesitated for a while, then looked around. Finally, he mustered up the courage to stand up and also carried the blue crystal. Ding. Discover aquamarine, can absorb aquamarine energy and convert it into 1 point of fantasy power. What does it mean? Shu Xiaobai listened to the voice in his head. He wasn't sure if he was hallucinating. But the voice is real. Shu Xiaobai's eyelids jumped. At this moment, a window suddenly popped up in front of Shu Xiaobai. Properties panel, Shu Xiaobai. Strength, 10 speed, 10 stamina, 10 fantasy power, 1. What is this? How is this similar to the game panel? Wouldn't you be in an immersive holographic game? The power of fantasy can be used as a basic point to improve the three-dimensional attributes. 1 point of fantasy power equals 0.1 point of basic attributes. Can also be used to purchase items in the store. Shu Xiaobai found that there was a mall entrance next to the property panel. Click to open the store. The feasible plan of the human pillar force, 50 points of fantasy power. Advanced electronics, 100 fantasy power. The history of chakra development, 50 points of fantasy power. X gene origin code, 200 fantasy power. Magic base frame, 100 fantasy power. Advanced biology, 100 fantasy power. Time-limited items will be refreshed in a week. Boy! It's so slow to move an aquamarine, hurry up and put the aquamarine there. Shu Xiaobai was interrupted by the voice of the big man before. Unconsciously, he has reached the city wall. At this time, Shu Xiaobai saw that outside the city walls, all of them were densely packed with alien beasts. Is this alien beast attacking the city? At this moment, a huge spotted beast appeared behind the beast group. The speckled beast is estimated to be as tall as a city wall, and it looks like a bloated silkworm. I saw a white light spurting out of the speckled beast's mouth. In an instant, it bombarded the city wall not far from where Shu Xiaobai was. There was a loud bang, and a gap was blown open in the city wall in the smoke. Shu Xiaobai was so frightened that he hugged his head and ran away. Hurry up, quickly move the aquamarine. There's not enough aquamarine. I saw the soldiers on the city wall pour boxes of aquamarine into a strangely shaped cannon. Bang bang bang, the cannon burst out with blue cannonballs, which bombarded the body of the alien beast intensively. Shu Xiaobai fled down the city wall by rolling and crawling. Is this hell? At this moment, Shu Xiaobai saw groups of alien beasts pouring in from the gap in the collapsed city wall. Immediately after, several figures stood in front of the gap. Quick, block these things! Those few people were extremely terrifying, and everyone could easily kill those alien beasts that came in. But there are too many alien beasts, and those people are a little overwhelmed. Just as the situation was about to collapse, another figure rushed into the gap. That person was so fast that Shu Xiaobai could only vaguely see the blurry figure. And those alien beasts didn't have time to react, so they were easily beheaded by that person. The situation that was about to collapse was reversed in an instant. All the alien beasts that poured in were beheaded, and the man rushed out of the city wall directly from the gap. Don't be stunned. Do our own thing. The big man bumped into Shu Xiaobai. At this moment, Shu Xiaobai could only bite the bullet and continue to carry the aquamarine. Ding discover aquamarine, can absorb aquamarine energy and convert it into 1 point of fantasy power. Shu Xiaobai's face was a little complicated. It feels like this plugin was born to move bricks. Could it be that your natural talent is to move bricks? If you can get stronger by moving bricks, it seems not unacceptable. Shu Xiaobai carried 50 boxes one after another, and each box of aquamarine could absorb 1 point of fantasy power. Gathered 50 points of fantasy power. But Shu Xiaobai wasn't in a hurry to buy those goods www.mtlnovel.com because Shu Xiaobai didn't understand what situation he was in now. Xiaobai, don't move, do you want to die? The big man grabbed Shu Xiaobai, who was planning to continue carrying the blue crystal, again. What? Have your brain been knocked out? Did you forget that too much exposure to aquamarine radiation will damage body organs? Shu Xiaobai's face is pale, isn't it? Will these aquamarines kill you? But Shu Xiaobai didn't notice anything wrong with him. Looking at the big man again, at this moment his eyes are blank, his arms are drooping, and his waist can't be straightened. Is it because you absorbed the power of that fantasy? At this moment, Shu Xiaobai was full of energy. He really is very talented in the project of moving bricks. At this moment, the blue crystal on the city wall was in a hurry again, and the defending soldiers began to urge again. You rest, I feel like I can carry another 100 boxes. Facts have proved that talent alone is useless. It also needs physical strength. Shu Xiaobai fell down after moving another 20 boxes. Shu Xiaobai felt that it was necessary for him to focus his imagination on his endurance. Carrying 70 boxes, 70 points of fantasy power, can add 7 points of stamina. According to the strategy of management games, the higher the basic output, the higher the underlying income. After thinking about it again and again, Shu Xiaobai decided to increase his endurance. And the higher the stamina, the higher the hidden attribute defense and health. Shu Xiaobai didn't plan to go out to fight the alien beast anyway. If someone is carrying a heavy load, they should do their own thing well. Moving bricks is the greatest contribution to them. Shu Xiaobai was exhausted from moving bricks all night. Until the sky was getting brighter and the beast siege ended. Shu Xiaobai's moving bricks was also over, and he moved 120 boxes in one night. Added 7 points of stamina, leaving 50 points of fantasy power. At the same time, he also earned 1,200 white crystal coins, which is the currency in circulation in this world. Shu Xiaobai also discovered that white crystal coins can also absorb the power of fantasy. It's just not as many as aquamarine. 1,200 white crystal coins can only absorb 12 points of fantasy power. And after the absorption, the white crystal coins will be annihilated directly. Shu Xiaobai still has to live, so he didn't plan to use the white crystal coins to exchange the power of fantasy. Unless you are really rich in the future, we will talk about it then. Moving bricks is considered a high-paying profession in this world. Of course, it is also a high-risk occupation. The big man dragged his tired body and came up and patted Shu Xiaobai on the shoulder. Ziobai, go, I'll take you home. The big man threw a motorcycle helmet to Shu Ziobai. Shu Ziobai lives in a basement of 16 square meters. Dahan is his roommate named Lin Tai. For otaku, the requirements for living environment are actually very low. Although this basement is very simple, it has already met most of Shu Ziobai's living needs. A separate bathroom is enough. After Shu Ziobai washed himself, he lay down on the bed. Multiple task windows pop up in my mind. Ding main quest, laboratory. Obtain a well-equipped laboratory. Ding main quest, scientific research. Start a basic system research. Ding main quest, evolution. A transformation of one's own body, or a practice of any power system. There are 3 main quests, and they are all undeniable. The main quest is like this. If you don't complete the main quest, the plot will not be able to progress. Fortunately, these 3 main quests have no time limit. Although these 3 tasks are triggered at the same time. However, there is still a sequence. If the first task is not completed, the second task cannot be performed. The third mission cannot be performed without completing the second mission. In the next few days, Shu Ziobai began to understand the world. Anyway, it's quite complicated. This is the human colony star called Bai Qiangxing. It is said that interstellar colonization can be carried out, and the level of technology should not be low. In fact, because of the coup d'état in the main star, Bai Qiangxing has not had the technical and material support of the main star for hundreds of years. This has caused Bai Qiangxing's technological level to be relatively unbalanced. Some technologies are still very backward, while others are very advanced. In order to survive on this planet, the first generation of colonists fought fierce wars with the indigenous creatures of Bai Qiangxing, those alien beasts. Especially biotechnology, it can even be said that it is much more advanced than the main star 100 years ago. The first generation of colonists were people who were injected with genetic mutation agents. Over the next few generations, the mutants combined with each other and multiplied, producing various complex genetic combinations. This has led to an extremely wide variety of special physiques, and there are currently more than 1 million recorded. Shu Ziobai looked at his identity number plate, which also recorded his physique. Holy white physique. At first glance, it sounds very dangling. In the entire history of Bai Qiangxing, there have been 3 cases of the holy white constitution. In fact, the holy white physique also has a more popular name, the whiteboard physique. There is nothing special, there is no special constitution, there is no outstanding aspect. The 3 whiteboard physique owners in history have all lived their lives safely. Shu Ziobai believes that only through his own efforts, he must be able to live his life peacefully like the 3 seniors. Before the age of 30, save enough to live on for the rest of your life. Then he tricked a beautiful girl into getting married and having children. Then one day at the age of 70, he passed away with a smile. There should be no turbulence and displacement, no conspiracy, no love and hatred. What I want is plain, what I want is mediocrity. Go for a lifetime. This is Shu Ziobai's wish. Shu Ziobai recently moved bricks at night and carried out tasks during the day. Shu Ziobai's stamina has been increased to 50 points. I don't have any other skills, just strong energy. Shu Ziobai feels that endurance is the most powerful attribute, and there is no such thing as one. In particular, the advantages of this attribute will be revealed when they get married in the future. At least Shu Ziobai is very optimistic about his married life. Strength and speed are 1 point not added. It is still the base 10 points. The power of fantasy has been maintained at 500 points for backup. The biological sciences in this world are very high, and even some folk scientists can study messy things in their own research. Any small shop with a dozen square meters on the side of the road dares to do body modification. Shu Ziobai came to the waste collection station. The boss here is a little old man with a goatee. Seeing Shu Xiaobai coming, he immediately came forward with enthusiasm. Little brother, you are involved in civil science, right? You are a literate person at first sight. Come and see my high-end products. What do you have? Shu Xiaobai asked casually. At times like this, I need to pretend that I understand very well. Look at this centrifuge, with 100,000 revolutions per minute, everything can be separated out. The old man with the goatee pointed to a rusted instrument and said. Don't look at its inconspicuous appearance, you must know that its technical content is the most advanced in the world today. The brand new price exceeds 100,000 white crystals. I won't charge you more, but you can take 80,000 white crystals. This is Beijing, don't need to look for it. My address is the apartment building, number 303 Ning Road Street, on the third floor of the basement. Please send it to me. Wait, little brother, you may have heard it wrong, yes. I know. You know the shit, this 100 white crystals don't even have enough money for delivery. Oh, then you pack it for me, and I'll carry it back myself. No. I mean, you don't even have enough money to buy parts. Not enough. Not enough. The goatee old man answered affirmatively. Then I'll take a look. When you come back, give a real price. 110. 79,990. Shu Xiaobai and the old goatee beheaded for 2 hours, and finally made a deal at 1,500 Beijing, which was delivered to the door. The old man with the goatee was exhausted, and he has been in business for a lifetime. I have seen all kinds of people, and I have also encountered bargaining masters. But he had never seen such patience. You can take a look for yourself, I'll lie down for a while. The old man with the goatee burrowed directly into the dilapidated lounge chair next to him. After an unknown amount of time, the goatee old man was awakened by the sound of metal. Then he saw Shu Xiaobai pulling out his beloved stroller, which also had a mess of instruments on it. What are you doing? These are all I want. Why didn't you wake me up? I see that you slept soundly, and I couldn't bear to wake you up. You are stealing. You are involved in civil affairs. How can you call it stealing? I am delaying payment. The old man with the goatee looked at the things on the cart. Chenjui, there are 1,000,000 white crystals in total. Do you think I look like someone who can pay 1,000,000? Not like 10,000 Beijing, plus this broken car. I think you want to eat farts. These are all high-tech instruments, and each one is worth a fortune. Look at this cell synthesis device. Without 200,000 white crystals, you can't pull a single part away. Look at this A chromosome analyzer. I'm just a civil science person. I don't understand what you're telling me. All I know is that these things don't even cost 1,000 white crystals. These are high-tech instruments. The goatee old man blew his beard and glared to correct Shu Xiaobai's words. www.mtlnovel.com. All the equipment on this car, if there is one that can start and work normally, I would like to call you the strongest junk king. These can still work with a little repair. 10,000 white crystals, is there any more? I'm not selling it anymore. The goatee old man said angrily. Old man, why don't you do this? I'll give you a body modification for free. Say what kind of modification you want. The old man looked at Shu Xiaobai. Do you have this skill? That's necessary. I'm a representative of the civil division. I want to get younger. I want, too. Can you succeed? It's not possible for the time being, change it. I have cataracts in one eye, give me another eye. I'm remodeling, not organ replacement, I have to go to the hospital for replacement. Then give me 10 centimeters here. Old boy, I didn't expect you to have a restless heart. Will you take this job? I'm a serious civilian. Then don't ask for these things. The old man grabbed the cart handle. Don't, wait until I build the laboratory first, so I can talk about it. Shu Xiaobai looked at the old man. Since you want to be my first Xiaobai, I can only accept it with a smile. Give time. Within a year, I will add 10 centimeters to you, but even this batch of equipment will be delivered to my door. Can you dig a little more? I'm a civil science student, and I don't have a financial sponsor father. How rich do you expect me to be? When I got home, the equipment had already been delivered. Brother Tai, discuss something with you. Want me to move out? Lin Tai looked at Shu Xiaobai's half room of equipment. No, I'm moving out. Understood, where to move? Do you want me to help? It's next door. Shu Xiaobai smiled awkwardly. It's not easy to find such a cheap basement. It happened that the neighbor was going to move out in the next 2 days, so Shu Xiaobai seized the opportunity and rented the room next door. Okay, I'll help you move things over there. Seriously, even Shu Xiaobai doesn't like sharing a lease with others. But Lin Tai is also a very good roommate. Don't look at Lin Tai's 5 big and 3 rough, his work is quite neat. No bad habits, except for snoring while sleeping. She also helps Shu Xiaobai a lot on weekdays. Even commuting to and from get off work, Lin Tai rides a motorcycle to pick him up. Shu Xiaobai couldn't help Lin Tai much on weekdays. I helped him buy breakfast. I bought a lot of equipment from the 10 centimeters old man. However, the workload is not large, and the things are almost moved in one afternoon. Then comes the real trouble. Most of these devices are not working properly and need to be repaired. Shu Xiaobai first spent 100 fantasy power to buy advanced electronics. The knowledge of advanced electronics is directly sent to the mind, which is convenient and quick. And then start repairing these devices yourself. This process took another 2 days. Finally, all devices can be turned on and used normally. Ding main quest, laboratory. Obtain a well-equipped laboratory. Finish. Reward, 100 fantasy power points. Shu Xiaobai sighed and finally completed the first main mission. The next step is to choose a research direction. At present, there are many research projects refreshed in the mall. Shu Xiaobai thought about it for a long time and first bought advanced biology. 400 points of fantasy power left. Then there is the choice of the first research project. In the end, Shu Xiaobai chose the magic power development strategy, 100 points of fantasy power. The brain gets relevant information instantly. Shu Xiaobai also instantly understood that this magic power development strategy is a very basic thing. Developing magic is not the same as developing magic. If you want to develop a complete magic system, there is a long way to go. And there are many branches of the magic system. Shu Xiaobai went to buy some living test items again. For example, white mice and frogs. There are a lot of in vivo test products on the market. Everything from mice and frogs to goats and monkeys. Some people even sell live people on the black market. The development of magic power has not been smooth. This is a process from scratch. The subjects were mice and frogs. And Shu Xiaobai still has to move bricks to make money to maintain research funding. At the same time, Shu Xiaobai maintained this humble laboratory by himself. Still busy and dizzy. Knock knock, come in. Lin Tai pushed open the door and came in. Xiaobai, how is your research? Shu Xiaobai looked away from the microscope. Scratched his forehead, it's not ideal. There is no concept of magic in this world. Lin Tai found a place to sit down. What? Have a problem? Well, it's a bit difficult to do, mainly because the live test products are not good. Shu Xiaobai didn't hide anything, anyway, he hasn't researched anything yet, and Lin Tai can't understand the content of his research. Xiaobai, I'll discuss something with you. Hey? Want to borrow money? I've been very tight lately. Shu Xiaobai stopped Lin Tai from borrowing money immediately. Although we have a good relationship, but borrowing money, that's not it. It's not about borrowing money, it's because I plan to use it as a living experiment for you. Lin Tai said. What? Shu Xiaobai's eyes widened, are you kidding me? No kidding, I'll make you a living experiment, but you have to give me money. Are you really so short of money? Shu Xiaobai stared at Lin Tai and asked. It's quite lacking. Lin Tai nodded. Shu Xiaobai wanted to help, but he himself was short of funds. Every day, I work hard to move bricks in order to fill this huge hole in research. How do you plan to charge? Shu Xiaobai asked. You do an experiment on me, 1,000 white crystal coins. If you want to transform something, you need 100 million white crystal coins. If I die during the experiment, you will compensate me for 300,000 white crystal coins at one time. Look at this how? Lin Tai asked tentatively. You've all died, and I'm going to pay for it, to whom? Pay it to my son. We sign a contract. If there is any accident, I will not hold you accountable, but the money is in place. Brother Tai, you can think about it, I am a civil science person, and you have seen the news. Every year, there will be a lot of people's news in the civil science biological research, and I am a novice, I can't guarantee you safety. To say that Lin Tai's asking price is really not high, the price of human experiments given by regular scientific research institutions is several times higher than this. But Shu Xiaobai really had no confidence in himself. Even those mice, Shu Xiaobai killed a lot during the experiment. Brother Tai, even if we move bricks now, we can earn more than 10 or 200,000 white crystal coins every year. www.mtlnovel.com. Can you take such a risk? There is something wrong with my body. Carrying aquamarine for a long time has caused my body cells to shrink. The doctor said that I will not survive for half a year. Even if I want to continue moving bricks, my physical condition does not allow it. Shu Xiaobai thought about it for a long time, then looked at Lin Tai's calm eyes, and finally nodded. My research needs human test products. If you really make a decision, I have no objection. Come over tomorrow and I will prepare a contract. Well, I'll go first. Lin Tai nodded. This person, when Lin Tai came over, Shu Xiaobai gave Lin Tai a contract. The price on this contract was already very low, so low that Shu Xiaobai couldn't bear to bargain with Lin Tai again. Xiaobai, pay attention to yourself. If the laboratory here has output, don't move bricks anymore. Blue crystal is really harmful to the human body. Lin Tai warned. I know, but my research project has not yet been produced, and I can only rely on moving bricks to maintain research funding. Shu Xiaobai said helplessly. Of course, the real situation is that Shu Xiaobai will not be hurt by azurite. Shu Xiaobai has already had a physical examination on his body and everything is normal. Lin Tai knew that although Shu Xiaobai didn't look strong, his physical strength was better than his. The number of aquamarines transported every day far exceeds that of him several times. And without resting in the middle, it's like a perpetual motion machine. Lin Tai couldn't help but wonder if Shu Xiaobai had remodeled his body. Otherwise, how could he have such strong endurance? Brother Tai, when will you be able to participate in my experiment? I can do it anytime. Shu Xiaobai recorded his experimental process in his notebook. The most important thing in the development of magic power is to use mental power to guide the elements in the air. Calms the violent elements, converts them into magic power, and stores them in the body. This process is called meditation. The theory has been perfected by Shu Xiaobai. The difficulty now is storage. Where is it stored in the body? Shu Xiaobai went through the experience of living animals. It was confirmed that magic power can be stored in blood. But animals don't know how to control the process of meditation. Every time there is a possibility of excess mana reserves, causing the body to burst. Also, the mental output is not stable enough. As a result, the changes in emotions will also lead to the stable fluctuation of magic power. If you can perfect the process of meditation, turn meditation from a skill into an instinct. And by optimizing the transformation process of magic power, the experiment may be successful. Shu Xiaobai felt that storing magic power in blood is not ideal. It is best to have a special organ for storing magic power, so that compared with blood, the use of organs to store magic power will be more stable. Simply put, there are problems with every step. The heart is not good, the risk is too high, and it is the same as the blood. Emotional fluctuations will affect the heart rate. Neither the lungs, nor the stomach, nor the kidneys. Suddenly, Shu Xiaobai thought about it, maybe bones can do it. If bones can hold magic, then bones can be very stable storage devices. Brother Tai, this experiment will have certain dangers. If you quit now, I won't blame you. Shu Xiaobai looked at Lin Tai seriously. It's okay, come on. Shu Xiaobai nodded and started injecting anesthesia into Lin Tai, then cut open the muscles of Lin Tai's arm to reveal the bones inside. The equipment is rudimentary, so many protective measures are not in place. For example, his laboratory could not be sterile at all. Brother Tai, can you hear my voice now? Lin Tai closed his eyes and nodded slightly. Shu Xiaobai began to transform Lin Tai's body according to his own ideas. Of course, this is a simple physical transformation, not a genetic change. Brother Tai, can you feel what I installed in your body? Lin Tai nodded again, and Shu Xiaobai said again. 2 hours passed. Shu Xiaobai let out a long breath and began to suture the wound. Lin Tai lay down for another half an hour before the effect of the anesthetic passed. Lin Tai found that there was a raised sarcoma at the suture of his right arm. This is. Try to follow the method I said, close your eyes and feel the air. Lin Tai closed his eyes according to Shu Xiaobai's method. Shu Xiaobai looked at the brainwave monitoring device next to his eyes. The next step is more complicated. You can't go wrong at every step. Clear. Shu Xiaobai began to explain the steps of meditation. After these days of research and improvement, the meditation process has basically been completed. Shu Xiaobai spoke very slowly. He needed Lin Tai to complete the meditation process without any hesitation. How do you feel now? Something in the air seems to be being absorbed into my body. Very well, continue. You guide that thing into the bones of your right arm. For the first human experiment, Shu Xiaobai needs to seek stability. He doesn't have any radical capital. Let's not talk about feelings first. If there is any accident in Lin Tai, Shu Xiaobai will have to pay a large sum of money. And Shu Xiaobai has no money to pay. So there can be absolutely no surprises. How do you feel now? The right arm is very comfortable, it feels. It feels very good. Suddenly, Lin Tai's right arm shook slightly. Hey! Lin Tai didn't know what was going on. He is also very nervous now and doesn't know what to do next. That's what I installed in your body. It's a kind of safety plug. Shu Xiaobai explained, this thing is grown from your cells, so it won't have a rejection reaction with you. Okay. The energy you just absorbed is called magic power, and the process of absorption is called meditation. This magic power is stored in your bones, and the safety pin is connected to your bones. Once the magic power value reaches the threshold, the safety pin will be triggered. That's when you need to stop meditating. I understand. Because I haven't made an overall estimate of the magic value, so in the next period of time, you will need to test multiple times. You should be mentally prepared. In addition, if your body has any reaction, you must inform me as soon as possible. Ding main quest, scientific research. Start a basic system research. Finish. Reward, 100 fantasy power points. Reward, enable magic attribute. Did you make it? Shu Xiaobai was secretly happy. At the same time, he also breathed a long sigh of relief. Shu Xiaobai immediately opened his property panel. Properties panel, Shu Xiaobai. Strength, 10 agility, 10 stamina, 10 plus 50 mana, 0, up to 100, fantasy power, 400. After Lin Tai left, Shu Xiaobai also began to meditate on his own. In 3 hours, the magic power reached the upper limit of 100. Ding Main Quest, Evolution. A transformation of one's own body, or a practice of any power system. Finish. Reward, 100 fantasy power. Reward, a set of magic system development guide. Ding Main Quest, improve the magic system. Primary, develop water, fire, earth, wind, light, dark. www.mtlnovel.com. Every magic attribute, at least one kind of magic. Time limit, 3 months. Ding Main Quest, Inheritance. Find at least 6 living test objects, including experimental subjects with 6 attributes, to teach the mystery of magic. Mission progress, 1/6 time frame, 6 months. Shu Xiaobai thought about it, and now the first thing to do is to develop a relatively complete magic system. At least it must be practical. Of course, it is best to have a certain combat power. This is the easiest way to spread. If it is like this, if there is only meditation, but no practical use, then it cannot spread at all. He doesn't have the money to find a few more people to do live experiments. A Lin Tai as a living experiment has already made Shu Xiaobai a little overwhelmed. Of course, without Lin Tai, Shu Xiaobai's mission would not have been completed so quickly. However, Shu Xiaobai soon encountered a new predicament, and his magic power was not enough. To develop new magic, it takes a lot of experimentation. And if you try it casually, you need to consume dozens of magic power. After one attempt, Shu Xiaobai needed to meditate to restore his magic power. This caused Shu Xiaobai to use the power of fantasy to raise the upper limit of his magic power. 1 point of fantasy power increases the maximum magic power by 1 point. Shu Xiaobai added all the power of fantasy to the upper limit of magic power. Let Shu Xiaobai's magic power limit soar from 100 to 600. At the same time, it also cleared his fantasy power. Shu Xiaobai is heartbroken by this. How much stamina can improve the quality of life after marriage? Mr. Lin, do you have time? A luxury car parked in front of Lin Tai with a beautiful woman inside. No. Lin Tai just paused slightly and continued walking. The luxury car slowly followed Lin Tai. Mr. Lin, the price we gave is very sincere. Lin Tai stopped and looked at the woman in the car. No, only 20 of my physiques have appeared in the world in the past 100 years. If you want to buy out my body samples, all the research rights before and after death, then you need to pay a sufficient price, and not a mere 200,000 white crystal coins. Mr. Lin, the price I gave you is indeed lower than the market price of the red glass physique, but your body has been damaged by the aquamarine radiation, and the value has been greatly reduced. Even if you go to the antique market, you will not use the full price to buy an already antiques with obvious damage. What the woman said was very reasonable, but Lin Tai did not accept it. Mr. Lin, if you are not satisfied with the price, we can talk more. It's not too much for me to ask for 500,000 white crystal coins. Lin Tai said, the market price is 1 million. I only ask for 500,000. If you can't accept this price, then we have nothing to talk about. Mr. Lin, you should understand that in another 3 months, you may not be able to sell even $50,000. The sequelae of aquamarine radiation will make your red glass cells completely necrotic, and you will be worthless by then. At that time, you will have to spend an extra 500,000 yuan to find a non-destructive reg-lazed vitreous physique. Oh, by the way, people may not be willing to accept your death experiment. Mr. Lin, I talked to you with sincerity. The price you gave didn't make me feel sincere. Well then, I don't think Mr. Lin is in a good mood. I'll talk to Mr. Lin later. Lin Tai's red vitreous physique is a physique with great research value. In many research projects, the strengthening agents developed through the red glass physique are widely used in the military and have great commercial value. However, the red vitreous physique is very rare, and it is not so easy to obtain experimental samples. Especially Lin Tai, who is desperate, is willing to use it as a test subject, or even accept a death experiment. There are very few samples. Moreover, the market price is 1 million white crystal coins, which is the price of living experiments. Lin Tai's self-conscious time is short, so he is willing to accept the death experiment project. In Lin Tai's view, this is where his value lies. Even if life reaches its limit, it is not too much to ask for 500,000 white crystal coins. Lin Tai was about to push aside Xu Xiaobai's laboratory and bedroom. The door opened, and when Xu Xiaobai saw Lin Tai, he immediately said, "Brother Tai, are you okay today? My only job now is to cooperate with your experiment." "That's right, let's do an outdoor experiment today." Outdoor experiment? It was the first time Lin Tai heard about outdoor experiment. Lin Tai followed Xu Xiaobai to the abandoned park. This was originally the most prosperous and densest place in Taeyang City. But 3 years ago, when a strange beast attacked the city, the government arranged the refugees here. As a result, the herd not only broke through the outer direction, but also rushed to the refuge settlement area, which is this park. As a result, it caused the most serious civilian casualties since Taeyang City was built 100 years ago. Since then, it has been completely deserted. No one wants to come to this park. Of course, Xu Xiaobai doesn't care, because Xu Xiaobai can't afford to rent a well-equipped training ground. Xu Xiaobai took out an instrument watch and put it on Lin Tai's wrist. "Brother Tai, you output magic power." Lin Tai glanced at his watch, and followed him to output magic power. Immediately, the display on the watch began to show some values. Main attribute, fire, 95%. Secondary attribute, soil, 3%, wind, 2%. The magic value is 1280/1300. When Xu Xiaobai saw that you had reached this magic value, he felt that the world was not worth it on the spot. The labor and management sacrificed the quality of life after marriage, and as a result, the upper limit of magic power was less than half of Lin Tai's. Is the physique of the holy white so white? Xu Xiaobai's mentality is a little broken. Silently hid the watch he was wearing in his sleeve. "Let's start our experiment today." Xu Xiaobai took out a document, which was one of the results of his recent research. Fire magic, flame ripples. You memorize this content and remember every step. Lin Tai carefully followed every request of Xu Xiaobai. He felt the throbbing of magic in his body. "How do you feel?" "I feel like something is going to come out, but I can't come out." "How should I put it? It's like constipate." "That's how it feels." Xu Xiaobai nodded. It seemed that it wasn't his own problem, nor was Lin Tai's problem. It meant that there was a problem with the magic release steps and needed to be readjusted. The main release method of the flame ripple is to release the magic power from all the pores of the body. The magic power ignites the moment it touches the air, releasing a spherical ripple around the body and spreading outward. The difficulty lies in how to accurately control the release of magic power from the pores. People are used to breathing through the mouth and nose, but the pores on the skin also have the function of breathing. Xu Xiaobai sat down on the spot to think, and took a pen to scribble and revise the documents. After half an hour of revision, Xu Xiaobai stood up again and handed the information to Lin Tai. "Come on, follow the above method again." Lin Tai looked at the information and felt something. "Don't worry, step by step must be absolutely accurate." www.mtlnovel.com. Lin Tai took a deep breath. Magic output control. The magic power is attached to the inner skin. Squeeze out the pores of the skin. Ignite the magic. Suddenly, Shu Xiaobai felt a wave of heat coming towards him. Shu Xiaobai hurriedly fell to the ground. Booma! Shu Xiaobai screamed while holding his head. Lin Tai was shocked, and it was too late to be shocked by what he just did. He hurried forward and patted off the flames on Shu Xiaobai's body. Shu Xiaobai's clothes were riddled with burns and burns all over his body. Fortunately, the one standing just now was 10 meters away, otherwise the person would be gone. He touched his hair, and it was all burnt. My hair! Xiaobai! That, I'm sorry. I won't pay for today's experiment. Shu Xiaobai roared angrily. Even if this is his fault, it must be borne by Lin Tai. This can't be done. The money must be given. If it's a big deal, I'll treat you to lunch. Lin Tai, like Shu Xiaobai, both desperately want money. I want to eat well. It's cheap not to be a bastard. Both of them calmed down a little, and Lin Tai's mood was a little unbelievable. Seriously, although he participated in Shu Xiaobai's experiment, he has always been less optimistic about Shu Xiaobai's experiment. There are thousands of individual laboratories around the world, that is, Mink. However, 99.99% of the real scientific research results are government laboratories and scientific research giants. However, Shu Xiaobai may have developed a brand new power system. This is a very remarkable result. The state was readjusted, and the experiment continued. Shu Xiaobai glanced at the data on Lin Tai's watch. The first time he successfully released the flame ripples, Lin Tai consumed about 100 mana points. Release it again, this time you increase the magic power output, between 150 and 200. After speaking, Shu Xiaobai ran 30 meters away this time. It's time to start. This time, Lin Tai also participated in the experiment more seriously. If Shu Xiaobai's project is really successful, then the benefits will be unimaginable. As Shu Xiaobai's first experimental subject, let's have a good relationship with Shu Xiaobai and wait for him to die in the future. It shouldn't be difficult for him to take care of his son on his behalf. Boom! After successfully releasing the second flame ripple, Lin Tai first looked at his watch. The magic power consumption is 185, the effective impact range is about 13 meters, and the temperature that the impact area instantly reaches is about 680°. Shu Xiaobai nodded and recorded the data. This time, increase the magic power output, the value is 250. In the next experiment, Lin Tai cooperated very well. Until Lin Tai's magic power was exhausted 3 times. Shu Xiaobai recorded all the data in detail. There is no doubt that the flame ripple magic has been developed. Xiaobai, is this a brand new power system? Yet. Shu Xiaobai nodded, but it's not perfect yet, the attack method is still very simple, the data is also very simple, and there is no complete grading. This is impossible, Shu Xiaobai's funds are tight. Move bricks every day to maintain research funding. And this kind of research funding is a bottomless pit. The subject of the experiment was Lin Tai alone, but Shu Xiaobai wanted to find a few more people and didn't have the spare money. Lin Tai looked at Shu Xiaobai with a stern face, and asked worriedly, is this new power system still flawed? Shu Xiaobai shook his head, there are no obvious flaws yet, I'm thinking about another thing. What's up? Is hair transplant expensive? Shu Xiaobai is still very concerned about her hair loss. Although I am not handsome, I cannot accept the fact that I am ugly. Lin Tai took a sip of beer and said comfortingly, Xiaobai, your hair will grow back very quickly. As long as it doesn't hurt the roots, come and do it. No, I'm going to work soon, so I can't drink. It's not that he can't drink, but Shu Xiaobai made up his mind to work hard today and try to earn back the money for the hair transplant as soon as possible. By the way, is there any hair growth magic in magic? Do you want to develop one yourself? Ding side quest, derived magic. Develop other system magic besides element magic. Requires at least one non-elemental magic, as well as complete data and theory. Another trouble. I just had such a thought. This system task appeared in time. My time is already tight enough. Now there is one more side quest. Xiaobai, don't you go to work at night? It's only noon now. The reconnaissance team at the periphery of the city defense found that the herd has been very active recently, and there may be a huge wave of offensive, so I need to prepare for the battle in advance. Although Shu Xiaobai moved bricks, he was also a very important position in the city defense. Leaving aside contributions and the like, at least Shu Xiaobai doesn't want his current life rhythm to be disrupted. If the herd breaks through the defense of Taeyang City, it will be a devastating blow to the inner city. Lin Tai frowned. How big is it? I'm a porter, how do I know how big it is? Anyway, everyone chatted and heard about it when they were resting. Shu Xiaobai was actually quite worried. Because of working in that environment, everyone's emotions are written on their faces. Even the soldiers and generals of the city defense were very solemn. Over the past few days, they carried the look of someone who owed them millions. This emotion is contagious. Now some people speculate that the scale this time is likely to reach the level of 3 years ago. Shu Xiaobai guessed. He also didn't know what the situation was 3 years ago, after all, he had not been through time for a long time. However, there is still a lot of information about the tragedy 3 years ago. It's hard for Shu Xiaobai not to know. Shu Xiaobai doesn't want to change himself, change the rhythm of life, or die. But Shu Xiaobai doesn't have the ability to control the overall situation right now. So he can only work as hard as he can. To be honest, among many researchers, Shu Xiaobai's idol is Orochimaru. He is the real legend of immortality. All kinds of jumping and gong. Decided, I want to go on tenaciously like Orochimaru. Your body burns so badly today, are you sure you won't rest for a few days? I still have to pay for your experiment fees, and I won't be able to rest unless you are willing to waive the bill. Haha. Go to work early after you finish eating. Lin Tai said, you want to eat farts. In this way, the two parted unhappily. Shu Xiaobai came under the city wall and immediately started to work. The foreman looked at Shu Xiaobai and nodded in satisfaction. Shu Xiaobai has long been the top actress in the brick-moving industry. After all, no one can carry aquamarine with high intensity without resting. Look at the previous generation of brick-moving actress Lin Tai to know how much damage the aquamarine radiation is. But Shu Xiaobai is a typical person who wants money but not his life. At least in the eyes of others. The more Shu Xiaobai earns, the more the foreman earns. Xiaobai, you worked extra hard today. The foreman saw the time when Shu Xiaobai had stopped to drink water, and immediately stepped forward and said a few words of concern. Mainly the other city wall contractors, who seemed to be planning to poach their top talent. The foreman planned to get close to Shu Xiaobai. Well, I'm short of money. You earn a lot, right? 3 or 4 times more than others, isn't it enough to spend? Shu Xiaobai touched his bare head, the more you earn, the more you spend. Xiaobai, the old Li of the North City Wall has been running here for the past 2 days. Let me tell you, that old Li is a vampire. He usually beats or scolds his opponents when he oversees the work, and even hangs a stick around his waist every day. Leather Whip www.mtlnovel.com. Shu Xiaobai touched his chin, he probably knew what the foreman meant. I couldn't help feeling proud, I was already a rising star in the brick-moving world. One day, I will stand on the highest peak of the brick-moving world, overlooking all living beings. Old Li, you invited me to dinner yesterday. Shu Xiaobai said lightly, I think he's pretty good. I'll tell you the truth, that Li's name is really not a good thing. I heard that Foreman Li has the lowest commission. As soon as the foreman heard this, it was worth it, he took Shu Xiaobai and walked to the corner. Xiaobai, I'm not playing tricks with you. I'll give you this number. The foreman lowered his voice and said. Now in the preparation stage, there is already a shortage of manpower, especially a physical monster like Shu Ziobai, which is even more scarce. Although the income of moving bricks is high, the risk factor is too high, and the aquamarine radiation is too harmful to the human body, and most people are reluctant to do it. If Shu Ziobai was poached, he might not even be able to work on the contract. The government has rigid requirements for the contractors of each city wall. If it cannot meet the transportation requirements, it will affect the city defense, thus affecting the safety of the entire Taeyang city. Just when Shu Ziobai was planning to have a good discussion with the foreman about labor wages, there was no warning around Shu Ziobai and the foreman. Shu Ziobai was blown away. Shu Ziobai felt that his whole body fell apart. But Shu Ziobai still endured the pain and struggled to get up, looking at the raging flames burning where they were standing. Foreman, don't die, you promised me a salary increase. When Shu Ziobai was heartbroken, the foreman came out of the flames. Shu Ziobai's eyes straightened. It's not dead? What is this guy's body made of? The foreman was not unscathed, but at least he was much lighter than Shu Ziobai. Shu Ziobai was amazed at the foreman. Foreman, what's your physique? You didn't die from such a violent explosion. The foreman looked unhappy and glanced at Shu Ziobai. Are you all right? The foreman saw that Shu Ziobai was seriously injured. I'm fine. For Shu Ziobai, if he didn't die, he would be applauded. At this time, the city walls were already in chaos. The battle has begun. Rockets kept falling from the sky. Of course, alien beasts can't draw bows and shoot arrows. It was the fire needles fired by the fire spear rat. The fire spear rat is similar to a porcupine, with thorns all over its body. And their spines can be fired. And when they are fired, a liquid from their bodies will be shot out along with the thorns. After a brief air contact, the liquid will burn. The defending soldiers on the city wall have all hid behind the bunkers. Shu Ziobai and the foreman also quickly hid behind the wall. Hurry up and hide! The foreman shouted loudly. Every porter is a non-renewable resource to him. He didn't want to lose any porters. After the first wave of the fire needle attack was over, everyone dared to take a stand. Shu Ziobai was in a panic, always feeling that this attack was a little different. Although the scale of the previous occasions was not large, they all waited until night to start attacking Taeyang City. But this time, before dusk, the siege began. This is not a good sign. Quick, quick! There's not enough azurite on the city wall, hurry up and move it. The commander on the city wall shouted loudly, War warning level 5. Boss, what is a 5-level war warning? Shu Ziobai pulled the foreman and asked. It's the highest alert, everyone's salary is doubled. The foreman was a little excited, but also a little scared. The incident of breaking through the city wall 3 years ago was only a level 4 warning. But this time it actually reached level 5. In other words, the level of danger will be far greater than what happened 3 years ago. Shu Ziobai silently added all the 600 points of fantasy power he had accumulated over the past few days to the upper limit of his magic power. Properties panel, Shu Ziobai strength, 10 agility, 10 stamina, 10 plus 50 mana, 1200/1200 fantasy power, 0. The most important thing now is to protect yourself. Nothing is a higher priority than saving your life. At the same time, Shu Ziobai quickly moved boxes of aquamarine to the city wall. If the city wall is breached, Shu Ziobai will have to die no matter how many attributes he adds. When Shu Ziobai went up to the city wall again, I saw a herd of beasts like the Kuroshio outside the city wall. Mad, what are these things for? They multiply so fast. Shu Ziobai muttered. Since then, the number has far exceeded the previous beast swarms. At this moment, several figures caught Shu Ziobai's attention. Those figures were dressed differently from ordinary soldiers. Shu Xiaobai recognized them. They were the special forces of Taiyuan City. Each has extraordinary combat power. Each has an extraordinary physique. It can be said that they are Taiyuan City's trump card. What Shu Xiaobai remembers most is the fast man in the blue and white shirt. When Shu Xiaobai had just crossed over, a hole in the city wall was blown open by a little bit of alien beast. It was the fast man who blocked the alien beast from the gap by himself. Anyway, Shu Xiaobai doesn't have the courage or ability. At this time, only admiration is enough. Since someone is carrying a heavy load, then you will be the screw that carries the weight. Shu Xiaobai retracted his attention and continued to move bricks. Others moved the bricks, Shu Xiaobai moved the bricks. While others were resting, Shu Xiaobai continued to move bricks. When others were tired, Shu Xiaobai was still moving bricks. Every time he went up to the city wall, Shu Xiaobai would subconsciously look outside the city wall. What really disturbed Shu Xiaobai was not the beast horde in front, but a few huge and terrifying figures looming behind him. Some alien beasts have already passed through the dense bombing zone and climbed up the city wall. However, such sporadic beasts cannot yet pose a threat to the city walls. But this feeling of suffocation permeated the entire defensive line. Even the members of the Special Forces team had expressions of consternation on their faces. Obviously, even these strong men could not face the oppression brought by the war calmly. Shu Xiaobai felt that it was very necessary for him to add points to his agility. Wait, if you are really in danger, at least you have enough speed to escape. Just now, more than 100 boxes have been transported, and a fraction has been deducted. Shu Xiaobai directly added the remaining power of fantasy to his agility. Properties panel, Shu Xiaobai strength, 10 agility, 10 plus 15 stamina, 10 plus 50 mana, 1200/1200 fantasy power, 6. Shu Xiaobai was still a little worried. Should have added a little more agility in the first place. At the beginning, I only had to move bricks in my mind. I completely forgot that running away is also an important indicator of go, and it is too late to regret it now. But I don't know if being agile will affect the quality of life. However, Shu Xiaobai found that adding agility also had considerable benefits for moving bricks. The azurite can be moved to the city wall faster, and the efficiency is greatly improved. Why didn't you think about this issue in the first place? At this moment, right in front of Shu Xiaobai, a 3-meter-high alien beast, similar to a praying mantis, climbed up the city wall. The mantis monster raised its scythe and swept left and right. In an instant, a few guards who were familiar with Shu Xiaobai were cut in half. Shu Xiaobai reacted in an instant, turned his head and ran away. Thanks to the newly added agility attribute, agility can improve Shu Xiaobai's reflexes and speed. Shu Xiaobai thought that www.mtlnovel.com mantis monsters should go after others. But the mantis monster rushed straight to Shu Xiaobai. And even though Shu Xiaobai had already added 15 points of agility, the speed is still not as fast as the mantis monster. Only for a moment, the mantis scythe was within easy reach. Fuck it. Shu Xiaobai felt that he was going to cool down. Suddenly, a tall figure appeared in front of Shu Xiaobai. The figure passed Shu Xiaobai and threw a punch at the mantis monster. Shu Xiaobai stopped and looked back. The tall mantis monster's head has been smashed like a watermelon by the man. The mantis scythe was also broken by the man with one hand. That person seems to be the captain of the Special Forces team. There are many experts in Taiyuan City. Shu Xiaobai didn't know what his name was, anyway, he was very good at it. Boy, you are good, how about joining my special team? Shu Xiaobai was absent-minded for a moment. You are crazy. Invite a bricklayer to join your special team. You know what my profession is for, right? The commander of the Special Forces team smiled brightly. I know, I asked your foreman before, you are exactly the person my team needs. Sorry, I'm not interested. Shu Xiaobai refused without hesitation. Come on, I'm so small that I join the Special Forces team, and I'll show you the letter in minutes. My salary here is higher than yours as a porter under the city wall. Even if the minimum standard, there are 200,000 white crystal coins a month. Shu Xiaobai was stunned. Can I ask, what is my job? Transport and carry some supplies for us. Most of the time, you don't need to fight on the battlefield. It turned out that I didn't want to use myself as a combat power, I just made myself a tool man. Say it earlier, Shu Xiaobai immediately showed a bright and innocent smile. For the peace of Taeyang City, I am willing to devote my share of strength, no matter if I go to the Mountain of Swords or the Sea of Fire, it is my duty. The commander of the special team glanced at Shu Xiaobai. Your foreman really saw you right, as long as you give money, you are willing to do anything. Not everything, at least I don't want to die. Although Shu Xiaobai agreed to join the special forces as a tool. But Shu Xiaobai didn't plan to give up the job of moving bricks. After all, this is currently his only source of fantasy power. You can go back to rest now, said the commander of the special forces team. No, my work is not finished yet. Shu Xiaobai said. The commander of the special forces team shook his head. It's not time yet, you need to rest and refresh yourself, and I will summon you the day after tomorrow. My condition is very good, my resilience is very good, and I don't need to recover. Shu Xiaobai said. I don't have any other skills, except that I have thick blood. After all, Shu Xiaobai has the stamina to increase his endurance 10 times a night. No, trust me, now you have to rest. The commander of the Special Forces team said solemnly. What are you going to do the day after tomorrow? You'll know the day after tomorrow. The more sloppy the commander of the special team was, the more panicked Shu Xiaobai became. Well, is it time for me to quit the special forces now? You guess. At this time, don't be playful, okay? Shu Xiaobai's scalp was numb, and he always felt that he had taken on a very, very troublesome job. Shu Xiaobai actually wanted to continue moving bricks. But this time, even the foreman went off to dissuade him. Shu Xiaobai is yearning for the double salary of the 5-level alert. But the commander of the special forces team has ordered, Shu Xiaobai will not give money even if he moves bricks again. Shu Xiaobai could only take today's reward and go home. Even after returning home, Shu Xiaobai would continue to do research. Shu Xiaobai felt that it was really necessary for him to study some self-protection magic. After all, judging from the tone of the commander of the special forces team, it is very likely that he is more than just a tool person. I always feel that I will never come back. But Shu Xiaobai wanted to continue struggling. Go, who wants to continue? Previously, all the power of fantasy was focused on agility. This caused Shu Xiaobai's current power of fantasy to be in single digits, and he couldn't buy anything. Shu Xiaobai can only devote his energy to the study of magic. 2 main quests and 1 side quest have not yet been completed. The main quest cannot be completed in a short period of time. Then we can only see if we can develop magic other than elemental magic in a short period of time. Shu Xiaobai first determined a general direction. The first is the magic that can increase one's survival rate. For example, growing hair. Yes, hair can survive. Soon, Shu Xiaobai determined the content of his research. Super cell regeneration. Stimulates the super regeneration of cells with magic power. For example, rebirth from a severed limb, such as excessive hair growth. Shu Xiaobai had previously purchased knowledge of advanced biology. It is very helpful to Shu Xiaobai's research. For example, lizards have the ability to regenerate limbs. Mammals do not have this function. The most fundamental reason for this is the logic of biological survival. From an evolutionary point of view, the ability to regenerate limbs is undoubtedly more advanced than nothing. The fact is that it is not understood in this way. One of the fundamental purposes of biological evolution is demand. The needs of the environment are the most important part. For example, a sheep was bitten off a leg by a wolf. Then it grows another leg. Is it afraid that the wolf will not get enough to eat? When a sheep is bitten off a leg, it is unlikely to survive. So whether or not it has the ability to regenerate its limbs can't change its chances of survival. Secondly, after the nuclei of biological cells divide, a large number of cancer cells will also be produced. The more the number of divisions, the more cancer cells will be produced. Although most of the cancer cells will be cleaned up by the mammalian immune system, the risk of developing cancer will increase. And most reptiles don't have this concern, and their life cycle is destined to not get cancer. So from the perspective of survival logic and prevalence, mammals' ability to regenerate limbs does more harm than good. Shu Xiaobai first tried to see if magic power could be replicated and multiplied rapidly through stimulation. Then Shu Xiaobai locked in stem cells, which are called totipotent cells. Stem cells can replicate into any organ in the body. Even a single stem cell can reproduce the whole person through cultivation. Now what Shu Xiaobai is trying is to replace the test tube and nutrient solution with magic. Soon, Shu Xiaobai gave up temporarily. Even at the theoretical stage, the magic needed to stimulate cells to replicate an organ through magic is still difficult for Shu Xiaobai, who is now Raoang. Shu Xiaobai had to go into meditation to recover his magic power. It seems that the idea of having one more kidney is not so easy to do. This time, Shu Xiaobai changed to a simple mode. Instead of duplicating organs, Shu Xiaobai cut a small incision on his finger and used this method to speed up the healing of the wound. Shu Xiaobai's magic power began to stir, and this super regeneration consumes far more than natural healing. Fortunately, Shu Xiaobai's stamina is high, and his physical strength far exceeds that of ordinary people. The wound healed successfully. However, this does not mean that Shu Xiaobai's limb regeneration skills have been successfully developed. After all, Shu Xiaobai couldn't really cut off his arm to see if he succeeded in developing it. Ding Side Quest, Derivative Magic www.mentalnovel.com Develop other system magic besides element magic. Requires at least one non-elemental magic, as well as a perfect theory. Mission completed. Reward, 100 Fantasy Power. Reward, Basic Attribute 30. Reward, Flesh Magic Theory Framework. Flesh Magic. Shu Xiaobai felt that this magic was very indecent. What I think of in my mind are all the beasts in the movies and TV series. Is there no magic like cloning? For example, by randomly extracting a girl's hair, you can clone a girl. After Shu Xiaobai acquired the knowledge of Flesh Magic Theory Framework, I found that this magic system is far more profound than I imagined. This flesh and blood magic has various branches such as distortion, regeneration, and alienation. It has to be said that there is still a certain element of luck in the super speed healing that Shu Xiaobai researched before. After coming into contact with the complete theoretical framework, Shu Xiaobai has a deeper understanding of flesh and blood magic. And limb regeneration is far more difficult than imagined. At least for a short period of time, regardless of ability or technology. It is difficult for Shu Xiaobai to develop the magic of limb regeneration. And the super speed healing is a good magic. After a little improvement and perfection, it can be put into practical application. Even on the battlefield, it is very meaningful. It's just that Shu Xiaobai didn't know what he was going to do the day after tomorrow. So Shu Xiaobai was still at a loss. Shu Xiaobai focused his attention on elemental magic. It's time to develop a defensive magic. After a day of hard work, Shu Xiaobai's defensive magic was not developed successfully. Instead, escape magic was successfully developed. Wind magic, the breath of the wind. Adjust its own weight through the wind element, so as to achieve the acceleration effect. Through the test, Shu Xiaobai felt that his speed had at least doubled. Consuming mana and reducing physical consumption is definitely not a loss, and it can even be said to be a blood gain. And this magic also greatly increased Shu Xiaobai's survival rate. The most important thing is that this breath of wind magic consumes little magic power, and it is easy to release and silent. It's very likely that the other party didn't even know that he had released this magical skill. As long as it's not the kind of enemy with 3 layers inside and 3 layers outside. As long as it's not the kind of enemy who can stick him on the wall with a slap. Shu Xiaobai felt that it should be no problem for him to escape. Shu Xiaobai added all the 30 basic attributes rewarded by side quests to agility. This caused Shu Xiaobai's agility attribute to be as high as 55, which is close to the endurance attribute. In addition to worrying about whether the quality of life after marriage will be affected because it is too fast. The agility attribute also highlights the excellent quality. As for fighting and so on, professional things are left to professional people. Shu Xiaobai has always adhered to this concept. I am a non-combat logistician myself. As a logistician, Shu Xiaobai never adds his attributes to his strength. At present, the 6 elements of elemental magic have completed the development of fire and wind elements. Shu Xiaobai plans to develop light magic next. Many alien beasts in this world are light phobic. This is also the reason why most alien beast sieges happen at night. If there is light magic, then most alien beasts can be effectively expelled. Originally, Shu Xiaobai thought that light magic should not be easy to develop. But it turns out that low-level magic is still very easy to develop. Because Shu Xiaobai's request was too simple, just enough light, the kind of light that blinded the eyes. So the first holy light magic, the halo, is completed. 6 elements of magic, 3/6. Shu Xiaobai still didn't stop. The target of the next strategy is dark magic. However, until the next day, the idea of dark magic was not clear. Knock knock. The knock on the door interrupted Shu Xiaobai's research. The door is unlocked, come in. The commander of the special forces pushed the door and came in. Seeing Shu Xiaobai in front of the instrument, there are a lot of books. Boy, are you still doing biological research? My little interest. Shu Xiaobai replied casually. He didn't go out for the past 2 days, and he didn't even know about the battle outside the city. Are you going to take me on a mission? Shu Xiaobai asked. Yes, are you ready? If I say no at this time, are you willing to let me go? In my plan, you are an indispensable member, said the commander of the Special Forces team. I've never been taken seriously by others. Shu Xiaobai didn't know whether he should be happy or not. Anyway, he is panicking in his heart now. Although I was prepared, I felt that I had life-saving skills before. But when things came to an end, he was still panicking. Do you feel that you are valued, so you want to work harder to prove yourself? I'm even more panicked. Shu Xiaobai made no secret of his inner emotions at the moment. Don't worry, if something happens, you won't be the first to be abandoned. Hearing the words of the commander of the Special Forces team, Shu Xiaobai suddenly had the urge to turn around and run away. What exactly do you want me to do? We found the female beast queen of this group of beasts outside the city. And then, these large and small beasts outside the city all have a common mother, the queen of the beasts. Our mission this time is to kill the queen of the beasts. Shu Xiaobai's heart had never been beating so violently this time. Are we going out of the city? Yes, but don't worry, we are going out in an aircraft. What exactly do you want me to do? After the aircraft reaches the vicinity of Taiwa Mountain, it can't go further, because there are flying beasts in that area. At that time, we will walk into the Queen's lair, and you need to carry the red crystal for us. Shu Xiaobai frowned, he didn't know what Hongjing was at all. Red crystal is a purer energy crystal of blue crystal. Of course, radiation is more deadly than blue crystal. Even if we do lead wrapping and isolation, it is still difficult to isolate radiation. Even if there is no lead isolation, the radiation of red crystal can be let the electronic equipment fail, but we have to use red crystals in this operation, so we can only take the way of carrying it manually. Shu Xiaobai's cheeks were twitching slightly, and his expression was very unnatural. This is because he has been terrified to the extreme. Anyway, it's cowardice, it's just fear. I can be exempted from aquamarine radiation, but that doesn't mean I won't be killed by red crystal radiation. Shu Xiaobai looked at the commander of the special forces in horror. I have investigated you. You have a holy physique. I guess it is probably because of your special physique that you are not affected by radiation. I think that since you can be exempted from aquamarine radiation, you can also be exempted from red crystal radiation with a high probability. It's all your own guess. If you guess wrong, then I'm dead. I know, so it's hard for you this time. The commander of the special team patted Shu Xiaobai on the shoulder. I want a salary increase. Shu Xiaobai gritted his teeth and looked at the captain of the special forces team. Okay, if you can come back alive this time, I'll give you a raise. Even if I wasn't killed by the red crystal radiation, I might have died under the mouths of those alien beasts. You should know that I don't have any fighting power. Rest assured, as a core member of our operation, you are more important than the safety of any of our team members, so we will ensure your safety before completing the mission. What about after completing the mission? It's almost time, we should go. Wait a minute. Speak clearly. The commander of the special forces was walking in front, probably because he was impatient with Shu Xiaobai's beeping. www.mtlnovel.com said lightly, if you say one more word, I will take you off the aircraft later. Drop it. I have to say, this sentence is very useful. Shu Xiaobai really shut up. Followed the commander of the special forces to the base of the special forces and boarded the aircraft. This is a huge disk, and it feels the same as the kind of UFO that Shu Xiaobai remembered on Earth in the 1970s and 1980s. The only thing Shu Xiaobai can do at this moment is to pray that the aircraft is broken. On the aircraft, Shu Xiaobai and everyone in the special team got to know each other. Shu Xiaobai also hoped that in the end, who would give him a slap in the face, and then he could take advantage of the problem, and it was best to fight. Even if it is beaten, it is better to go and die. Unfortunately, the 6 members of the Special Forces team, no matter how arrogant they were, just nodded lightly to Shu Xiaobai. There were no malicious words against each other, no insults or disdain. Shu Xiaobai was disappointed and prayed again that the aircraft would break down. Shu Xiaobai's wish did not come true until the aircraft took off. Shu Xiaobai felt that all the gods and Buddhas in the sky had failed him. The second time I prayed in my life, the first time was the year of the college entrance examination. But this was definitely the most pious time in his life. But this time, the gods and Buddha did not save him. After flying for an hour, the aircraft suddenly vibrated. Everyone has parachutes on their backs, we're in trouble. Shu Xiaobai's heart trembled. Lord Buddha, Jade Emperor Jesus, please don't joke with me at this time, thank you. Xiaobai, you don't need to carry a parachute, I'll take you. Thank you, I know I haven't skydived before. You carry the red crystal on your back. When Shu Xiaobai saw a square made of lead, as mentioned above, plus the red crystals inside, this thing must have 300 kilograms. Ding, discover the red crystal, which can absorb the energy of the red crystal and convert it into 1000 fantasy power. I can't carry it on my back. Shu Xiaobai stared at her big watery eyes. The commander of the Special Forces team put a hand on Shu Xiaobai's shoulder. Xiaobai, think carefully before answering. This is really too heavy. Shu Xiaobai said embarrassedly. Mainly, if you want to carry such a heavy object. Shu Xiaobai felt that he needed to add at least 20 points of strength. This is a complete waste of your fantasy power. Xiaobai, if you can't carry your back, you will lose your value in the team, and you will be left on the aircraft and crashed with this aircraft. Captain, I can work a little harder. Shu Xiaobai resolutely confessed, but after a while, Shu Xiaobai hesitated again, but with you and me, plus these 300 kilograms of boxes, the parachute is good. Make. Shu Xiaobai was worried that such a heavy thing would make the parachute ineffective. Just such a box is already equivalent to the weight of 2 people. Add him and the commander of the Special Forces team, and that's the weight of 4 people. You don't have to worry about that. Besides, stay away from me. Even if the red crystal is covered with lead skin, the commander of the special team is still quite afraid of the red crystal radiation. The hatch of the aircraft opened, and the members of the special forces jumped out of the hatch one by one. Captain, did you forget to carry the parachute? Shu Xiaobai found that the captain didn't carry the parachute. The commander of the special team glanced at Shu Xiaobai, then reached out and pointed at Shu Xiaobai. The next moment, Shu Xiaobai felt that his body was being pulled by some force. He was then pulled out of the aircraft door. What? The commander of the special forces also jumped out of the aircraft. And he swooped down completely, at an absurdly fast speed. In an instant, he caught up with Shu Xiaobai who was falling. At the same time, Shu Xiaobai felt the traction again when he was falling. Gradually, Shu Xiaobai felt that the speed of his fall was slowing down. Shu Xiaobai was also slightly relieved. I couldn't help but wonder, what kind of physique is their captain? The landing process was a near miss. When Shu Xiaobai stepped on the ground, the speed of descent was much slower. At least it has been reduced to a level that his body can accept. The captain landed first, and Shu Xiaobai breathed a sigh of relief. Captain, what is your physique? Is this your ability? Don't you watch the news? My physique is not a secret. I have a dual awakening physique. The captain said, the body of Kuntung and the celestial body of freedom. Shu Xiaobai was a little confused and didn't understand these two constitutions at all. You really don't watch the news at all. Kuntung actually refers to the Kuntung Mountains. There is an area with abnormal gravity. The gravity is dozens of times that of other places. The ability of Kuntung's body is also related to gravity. It can control gravity. Therefore, people of my physique are also called sons of Kuntung. Then what is the free celestial body? The free celestial body is said to be the opposite ability of Kuntung's body, that is, anti-gravity. I can exert anti-gravity on any object, including living things. Although the captain's tone was flat, he showed a kind of confidence. If the special team is Taeyang City's trump card, then the captain is the special team's trump card. Shu Xiaobai looked at the captain, his eyes full of desire. Captain, do you mind if I take a sample of your body? Haha. Do you know how much I can earn every year by selling body samples? 10 million white crystal coins, can you afford this price? Captain, talking about money will hurt feelings. Then, can you be exempted from the bill for this operation? Cannot. Sure enough, when it comes to money, it hurts feelings. Not long after, several other team members who were using parachutes also landed. Everyone landed safely and there were no casualties. However, from the moment they landed, everyone's faces were covered with a condensed color. Obviously, everyone knows that this trip is the gate to hell. The person most likely to survive this plan may be their captain. Others don't have a strong escape ability. They are more reflected in their combat power, and fighting is their job. Therefore, in the selection of the members of the special forces, the priority is of course the combat effectiveness. Shu Xiaobai, Anand's staff, is an exception. Shu Xiaobai is a pure tool man. Of course, Shu Xiaobai did not object to this. He himself is very willing to be this tool man. What he contradicts is not the identity of a tool person, but the task of sending him to death. Although Shu Xiaobai made a lot of preparations before departure. But at this moment, he deeply felt that his preparation was not enough. Everyone, don't be nervous. There is still some distance from Taiwu Mountain. Although there will be some strange beasts along the way, the threat will not be very big. We will enter the Taiwu Mountain area after 3 days. The captain said with a smile. Everyone adjusted their mentality and began to talk and laugh again. Only Shu Xiaobai was reading his notes beside him. At the same time, something is being recorded. Shu Xiaobai knew that this operation was a life-and-death experience. But he still wanted to struggle again. If you want to escape, the best way is to let no one touch you. Extreme speed can do this. But Shu Xiaobai couldn't do it. www.mtlnovel.com. Even if Shu Xiaobai added all his attributes to his agility, plus the breath of wind, he wouldn't be able to achieve this level. So we can only look for element magic of other attributes to see if we can find a solution from other attribute element magic. At present, the dark magic that Shu Xiaobai is studying, but so far, Shu Xiaobai has never sensed the dark element. I can't feel it even when it's dark. Before the bonfire, everyone laughed happily. There is no way for Shu Xiaobai to make them heartless. They couldn't face death so calmly. They are willing to be heroes, and they are willing to carry the burden. Shu Xiaobai didn't want to die, he wanted to live. Even in the ugliest posture, he would not hesitate. Xiaobai, what are you looking at? It's nothing, it's just something I researched. Shu Xiaobai said casually. Suddenly, Shu Xiaobai heard rustling sounds from the shadows. Shu Xiaobai shivered, and the originally noisy bonfire suddenly became quiet. They also heard movement. The captain suddenly raised his arm and aimed his palm in the shadow of the woods. The next moment, the flame beside him made a screeching sound. An alien beast was dragged out of the shadows by an invisible force. Drink! Another player took off and kicked. An extremely fierce whip swept across the head of the alien beast. The head of the alien beast was kicked out instantly. Shu Xiaobai was in a trance for a while. Looking at the corpse of the alien beast on the ground, an indescribable thought rose in my heart. Snap! The captain patted Shu Xiaobai's shoulder with a big palm. Don't worry too much, this is just a small scene.